11:20 is the time here in the WHIP studio. Zach Gelb and Mike Zahn here with you. Villanova is national champions once again as they defeated UNC at the buzzer by a miraculous shot by Chris Jenkins. Final score 77-74. And now joining us on the hotline is the head coach of Harcum College, and he was a graduate assistant at Villanova and is a proud Villanova alum, and that is Drew Kelly. Coach Kelly, it's Zach and Mike here in Philly. Thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on, and that was the most incredible final sequence of a basketball game that I have ever seen. You have the acrobatic shot by Page, then Oshefu mopping the floor, and then he sets the screen where he just mopped up his sweat. Arche Diacono passes it off with a incredible internal play clock, and then Jenkins hits the three. Just take me through your emotions in that final stretch.
I think when North Carolina tied the game up, it was just kind of shock. I'm watching the game, half as a fan, as an alum, and, half as a coach, and you're trying to analyze things. And, Villanova had a 10-point lead, and to see that evaporate and a kid kind of hit a Hail Mary shot, it was definitely a little disappointing or concerning. And then Jenkins come back and answer. My wife also graduated from Villanova. I've never seen my wife jump that high before. Tears pouring down her face. So, it was an emotional moment for Villanova alums, no question about it. A great moment.
And you know the power of basketball. We had Chuck Everson from the 85 team on last week, and he was telling us how nothing compares to winning that national champion, and he was honest with us. He said you can't even compare the birth of his two kids to that national championship. I talked to my dad last night on FaceTime. He's a Villanova alum. He actually produced Rolly Massimino's show back in the day, and I've never seen him smile that big after Jenkins hit that shot. But I'll tell you, that is such an exuberant and shocking moment. The only people that are disappointed today are the UNC fans because everyone else just saw such a great game. But I can't believe that Jay Wright basically showed no emotion when that shot went in. You're a coach. You know what it's like to yell and scream and see big shots. How does Coach not even give a little smile there at the end?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty unbelievable. I think you just get so caught up in the moment. And, now you have all these video replays and, going to the monitor. I mean, that's the first thing when the shot went in. That was the first thing I shot was, oh my God, they're going to go and review it. And did he get it off? And you're watching the confetti come down and all that stuff. And, I'm wondering if the shot counted. I'm sure that's what was going through his mind, at that moment too. It's a very surreal moment. Something obviously I've never had a chance to experience it. So, Jay did definitely stone cold in that moment.
How much do you think him not celebrating so much at the end was also a respect factor just to Roy Williams? Because Jay Wright knows how it is to be on the other end of losing in the tournament with the years past.
I think that's what makes Jay Wright. And that's why he's such a great coach. He's got a great respect for the game. I mean, he's a coach's coach. So I'm sure that definitely played into the situation. He's definitely a humble guy. I think that's one of the reasons why he is who he is. He hasn't let, the fame or the celebrity affect him. He's the same person he was. And I think that's what Villanova basketball is. It's about family. It's, being unselfish. Jay's attitude, comes right down, to Arch on the last play. Arch is driving up the court and has the presence of mind to find Jenkins. That unselfishness starts with the head coach. And, I think that's what you see in that moment.
We're talking to Harcum College head coach and former student assistant at Villanova, and that's Drew Kelly. And, Coach, the Tar Heels obviously can't afford to foul on that last play with 4.7 seconds left, but are you a little surprised at how good of a look Jenkins got on that last second three?
It's just one of those things. I'm watching all the analysts break that play down, and, Villanova, one thing I will say, I haven't been at practice. They have a book of last-second plays, that they run and they practice all the time. And, they're prepared for that situation. And I think I heard Jay say on that play, there's 4 different options, and actually Jenkins on that play is the last option. So, you're trying not to give up a layup. You had the help on Archer's drive to the basket. And, you go back and look at tape, he's 4 feet behind the three-point line, and, there's a contest on that shot. It's a late contest, but, it's a contest, and, you're going to give something up. There's no way you can take away everything. So, I thought Carolina defended it pretty well, and, Jenkins just made the shot.
And with that Jenkins shot, Villanova is on top of the world once again, second time in program history. But what was it like when you were there between 93 and 97 as a student assistant when the Wildcats weren't as dominant as they are today?
Well, I mean, one thing, Villanova's always had a great program. You go back decades. But I think it shows you what Jay's been able to do for the program. I mean, when I was there, we were getting 3 seeds and 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Those were the Gary Kittle's years. I mean, we were really, really good. We were a top 10 team in the country. But Jay has the program at a level it's never been at. We're getting 1 and 2 seeds every year in the NCAA tournament. I think winning the championship is probably just a matter of time. Jay has, one of the cliches you hear a lot in coaching is, culture beats scheme. And as a coach, I'm just in awe of the culture at Villanova. And sooner or later, they were going to break through and have this moment because the culture of that program is just off the charts.
And you mentioned the impact that Jay Wright has had on the program. Can you think of a more deserving guy for a championship than Jay Wright?
I mean, he's definitely unique. I think in college basketball, coaches, like I said before, he's a very humble guy, and Villanova's not out there winning championships with McDonald's All-Americans. I mean, if you look at why Villanova won the tournament and why they're playing at such a high level, it's the coaching. I think they have 1 McDonald's All-American on their team, in freshman Jalen Brunson, and I don't know how many Carolina has, but they probably have a lot more than that. And go back to beat Kansas, to beat Oklahoma, an amazing run they had through the tournament. But that comes down to the coaching and the culture, and as a coach, I'm just in awe of what they're able to do there, from a coaching standpoint.
And you know how much pressure was on them. There was an enormous amount of pressure to not only get past that first weekend, but to make a deep run, especially how it went the last few years. And, hey, they had some stifling defense. They shot the lights out of the building. And really, it is such a fun group to watch, and it's hard to root against them no matter who you root for in the Big Five. But you just take a look back at this team, and it's fun to see them do it with some veteran players in an era of college basketball where we see a lot of one-and-dones. And that was basically the whole vibe of this tournament this past year, is that the juniors and seniors were getting the job done.
And, Villanova, they shot the lights out, but they did that for the entire tournament. They shot, I think, 59% from the field for the whole tournament.
Yep.
To be that consistent, to be that good and be that consistently good, is really phenomenal. So I think it does come down to the leadership, the experience. You mentioned, not being able to get out of the first weekend of the tournament. Yeah, I think that's something that, the media and the fans make a big deal about. I mean, it's hard to win tournament games, and, it's not the NBA playoffs. These aren't 7-game series. Villanova's had a great program. They got a little unlucky a couple of years, and like I said, they were due for a breakthrough like this. It just gives me a lot of pride as an alum to see it happen on a national stage and for Villanova to get the respect, that I think they deserve. But I think those, early exits in the tournament, those are so overblown by the media. It's, not really indicative of what the program's all about. And, I'm glad they were able to have this moment, with what they've been through the last couple of years.
How loud did you scream at the end when Jenkins made that shot?
Like I said, I was pretty calm. My wife and son were going bananas. I was pretty calm. They just, you're just filled with pride. Tears are filling your eyes. It's a moment that, you just never thought you'd see. I mean, Villanova at the end of the day is a small Catholic school. Without FBS football, for them to go out and compete on that stage in the big money world of college sports today. It's amazing. I mean, it really is. I think it gives hope for the little guy, and all those other schools out there that are trying to compete with those big boys on a national level.
We're spending a few more minutes with the head coach of Harcum College, and that is Drew Kelly. And you know this from a coaching perspective. You could prepare so much for a big game, and you guys put a lot of diligent effort into that preparation, but there's always an unexpected element to that game. And no one could have seen what Booth did last night coming, being 6 out of 7 from the field, perfect at the free throw line, and adding in 20 points. Why was Booth so effective last night on the biggest stage and the biggest game of his career?
Well, I think the teams that win are usually the teams that have balance. All the players of Villanova can play, obviously, and Villanova, everything's not featured around one individual guy. They play great offense. They share the ball, and the open guy gets the shot. And if you're trying to take away Josh Hart, if you're trying to take away Archidiakono, somebody's going to be open. And last night that guy was Phil Booth, and he was knocking down shots. I think he scored 20 points on 7 field goal attempts. I mean, that's just unbelievable efficiency. That's kind of the word that, to me, when I think of Villanova offense, efficiency. I mean, they're the most efficient offensive team in the country. That's why they're the last team standing.
Everyone will remember the last sequence in this game, especially between Marcus Page's shot and then the game-winning shot from Jenkins. But from a whole 40-minute effort, what do you think of the national championship game compared to other national championship games? Do you really think this might have been the best game of a college basketball championship?
Well, I think the last time there was a buzzer beater in the national title game was 1983 when NC State did it to Houston. That's the only other buzzer beater I can think of. It's like is there more of a fairy tale ending than hitting a 3 at the buzzer to win the national championship? It's like a movie, So certainly it's going to go down as one of the greatest games ever played, and one of the biggest shots ever made, and maybe even the biggest. On that stage, I know people were comparing it to the Christian Laettner shot when he was at Duke against Kentucky in '92, I think it was, and that shot was a Final 8 game. So obviously the stage was a little bigger here to win the national title. Just an amazing shot that he made.
Have you ever seen a player like Oshefu in all your years of coaching pick up a mop in a moment and just start wiping up the floor? Because when he starts doing that, in that moment, at that stage, I'm like, what the heck is he doing? Start talking to your coach and prepare for the play.
It was a little unusual. As someone who was a former manager, that was my favorite moment of the game. But I think what he was worried about was, the floor was wet and that Arch was going to catch the ball and he was going to slip and fall to the ground and get called for a travel or something like that. So, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Make sure you get the shot off. Yeah, I think the amazing thing about, Ocho and just Villanova in general, everyone talks about the defense, but, they're switching all those screens last night. I think that's something that I didn't hear a lot talk about, in the national media. But you have Archidiakono and Brunson guarding 6'10" people in the post, and you have Ochifu switching on to point guards and guarding them on the perimeter. Who does that? I don't think I've ever seen a team do that every time. Maybe in a game you get switched off by accident and there's a mismatch. But Villanova was doing that as part of their scheme and allowing their post guys their guards to play post defense and allowing Ochifu to guard guards. And it worked to perfection. And they're changing the way that defense is going to be played in college basketball. That's something I've never seen a team do that, consistently as part of their game plan, where they're switching everything like that and allowing small guys, 6'1" guys to guard 6'10" guys. Just a phenomenal job defensively.
Now, Coach, before we let you run, last one here with Coach Drew Kelly of Harcum College. You have a pretty darn good program yourself. You produce a lot of talent. Just tell our listeners a little bit about Harcum College.
Yeah, we're kind of a unique program. We're a Division I junior college, so we have our players for 2 years, and we play at the D1 level, in the NJCAA. So we offer scholarships, and we have a lot of Division I level players in our program. Guys that come in for various reasons. They're trying to up their recruitment, or maybe fix their academic transcript or whatever it is, so they can go on and play Division I basketball. We were in the NJCAA Final Four 2 years ago. We were 3 points away from playing for a national title ourselves. We've produced 23 Division I players in the last 10 years. So we have a very good program. We finished 28-5 this year. Won the NJCAA District 3 title, which is basically the Northeast United States, and made it out to the national tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas for the second time in 3 years. So, we don't get the same publicity as the Big Five schools, obviously, but we have a very unique situation here and a very good program, very high-level basketball.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time today. Once again, congratulations, and best of luck to your program from here on out.
Great. Thanks for having me.
There is Coach Drew Kelly joining us on the hotline, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. Zach Gelb and Mike Zahn here with you. What we'll do right now is we'll take a quick break. We're going to get to Tom Hansen for a WHIP Sports Update. Then we'll get to the big-time Fenster 5 on a national championship celebration Tuesday. And then I got a special guest for everyone to wrap up the show. It's Zach Gelb and Mike Zahn here with you, 215-204-WHIP, and we'll be right back.